I figured you'd ask me about them, so I was like, let's put them on. So we both got some nice glasses today. Welcome to the Brand Doctor Show. This is number 12.
Welcome, welcome. What's going on with what's all the new glasses? What's going on here?
So these are just Bluetooth glasses. I have a job where a lot of the employees are wearing like an earbud, but I can't just do one earbud on one side. My brain can't handle it. So I was like, I'm going to get these glasses that I kept seeing online. They're not smart glasses per se. They only have the Bluetooth speakers and the transitional lenses, and they don't really even get that dark. But the fact that they're only $30 was kind of cool. And I took a call on them the other day, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I wanted to get used to wearing glasses in case I get like Lumos or Halliday or some of these other smart glasses that are like AI enhanced.
I love it. Okay, so you're getting ahead of the curve real quick and testing them out. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
like it. I like it. What do you like? How do you like them so far?
The sound quality is not the greatest, but I didn't necessarily expect much from $30 speakers. And
Yeah.
it is interesting the fact that if first off, there's ambient noise, people can't hear it really. And if there's no ambient noise, you have to be careful. Like you can't probably wear these at a library per se, but if you have it low enough, other people can't hear it. And it's like I was listening to classical music with it. I'm kind of curious about how like podcasts would be with it too, and that kind of thing. And I was kind of surprised how good it sounded when I came to a call. So
Excellent. I love to see it, man.
yeah.
Keep us posted.
The next thing here is where did you travel to and where are you at?
Yeah. So I'm in Florida right now. I was at a conference last week,
Mm.
and then I stayed here. My sister and nephew are here, so I was here for a little while. Had to get out of the cold of the rest of the America right now.
Dude.
That is too cold. So I'm down here for the day, and then I'm flying back this evening.
When I went on my first trip to Podcast Movement, I stayed an extra day, and I'm so glad I did. I kind of wish I stayed 2 extra days, so I need to start doing that with conferences so I could actually enjoy the
Hmm.
location that I'm at.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
you
feel you,
got you. You got you, man.
especially with the cold. I definitely agree because I think we're the same, like what longitude or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's cold here. I don't like it.
Yeah. No, it sucks. It sucks. So I said I had to get a couple days of heat before I go back in. With someone in my someone at the conference, I guess she's from Minnesota, and where she's at, it was -31 with the wind chill last week. It was
Mm.
crazy.
I think we
So
got down
no,
to -2, something like that here, but still, that's just,
yeah,
-31 is
nah,
ridiculous.
nah, that sucks. That sucks.
Well, and as you know, one of my main goals is to move to Austin because of climate. Like, I need better climate. Although, economic wise, I'm kind of worried just because of like grocery prices growing up and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, it's going crazy right now. Are you going down there soon or TBD?
I don't know. I need to. I had saved up some money, but I needed to pay some bills. So some of that money had to go to bills, and I still have some of it still. So I need to find a way to get some income quickly in order to do it. So either I need to make a really big campaign to sell a book or something like that, or I need to find another job that'll pay well that I could take with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got you, man. Sounds good. Sounds good.
But as we were talking about a few times ago, the yearly note that I had done in Obsidian, it helped me establish the fact that all of my goals and plans this year, for the first time in many years, I only have enough plans for one quarter. And so we were talking about like the 12-week year, I think last time or the time before. And I'm still listening to that book. I haven't finished it yet. I'm really bad about finishing audiobooks as of late. But I need to think about like what I'm gonna do after though. Like yes, I need to actually do this plan and execute now and finish the content blitz and finish moving to Austin. But I also need to start thinking a little bit about like what's gonna happen after that. I don't want to just move down there and then have nothing to do. Like that's
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. No, I think one of the best things about 12 weeks year, two things. Number one, there's a scorecard that you do weekly, and then there's a session that you do weekly where you're comparing your notes. I think it's ruthlessly making you optimize for your goals and seeing if do these goals make sense? If
Mhm.
they don't make sense, change them. Very, very ruthless because and your mic sounds good. What's going on is every day is represented as a week. So one day is a week, 1 week is a month. So that really allows you to see by the end of the day, like if I don't make changes or get to my goal, I just wasted a week. What do I need to do? And I know some people might feel like that's anxiety inducing, like, oh my God, I can't believe I wasted a week. But it's like, take a deep breath, let's just look at long-term goals. What are you trying to do? How does that break down into the 12 weeks? And then that really allows you to examine, okay, what do I need to cut out? And what I liked about using ChatGPT, I did a few of these like exercises. First, I asked it to prompt me based off of this thing. So I took the PDF, took all these guides from 12 weeks years and did that. Then it made my own scorecard and then I told it to calculate my score. So
Mm.
a lot of the things where it was the heavy lifting or you would have to buy the app that does all those things, ChatGPT can do that for you now. And yeah, that made me have a lot more clarity of like what activities I need to do or pre-gaming, kind of like you were saying, going to Austin. Okay, is there maybe 2 steps before going to Austin that needs to be addressed? Those kind of things. So I really like it so far. I did kind of a pseudo like first week kind of. But yeah, I think it's really powerful. And then my sister I was telling her, she was like, I don't really like it. And then randomly she was watching a YouTube video about cleaning. And then at the end of the cleaning video, they're like, yeah, I just read the 12-week year. And she's like, what is going on there? Now she wants to read it after she
Yeah.
saw a YouTuber talk about it.
But sometimes it takes
Yeah.
multiple pushes towards something. Like even though you're the brother, and so like it makes sense that like, okay, I'm not gonna listen to my brother, but I don't think that's quite it. I think it was a matter of just hearing it from more than one source, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think so. And and then it told me, I asked based on my goals and what I want to do, like what should my priorities for the 12 weeks be? And then
Mm.
it spit out like, okay, well, you can only do, it's one main goal. Here's the 5 activities. Here's how to go about it. Yeah. So
Ooh,
it's good.
I had some few points to make too. It's interesting. The 12-week year obviously goes into the quarterly layer of the PIOS that I always mention and stuff. Because the whole system goes like yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, for those who don't know. And I have pretty much refined the daily and yearly layers pretty well. And actually, I didn't realize this until relatively recently, but the monthly layer has just been my Now Page updates, which are like my monthly vlog that I do, vlog and blog. And so the monthly layer I have a pretty good grasp on. But the quarterly and the weekly have been kind of the weaker ones. And the quarterly one is because I had so much going on. But in that layer, obviously that kind of fits right into the 12-week year. And I realized too what you're saying with the whole like doing the weekly thing where you're trying to analyze what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. That same mindset's what I had for the year. Like, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? What I need to work on the next week? And if you take that 12-week year's week, if you will, and every day is a week, so every week is a month ish, something like that. Basically, if you plan your weekly note around that 12-week year concept, I think that is probably the most effective way to use that weekly planner.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's, no, it's motivating. Um, Yeah. Oh, and I think I already told you. Yeah, no, it helped to just get clarity. A lot of things that I would say that I want to do, if it just doesn't make sense at this time, it can be in the next 12-week year, or it just allows you to be, I think, less reactive, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you see things online or if you're doing something with content. Um, I mean, that can be a whole other subject about how it's helping with content, but
Well, I was
yeah,
actually going
no,
to
it's good
bring that
stuff.
up too. Yeah, like the other thing was that like the 12-week year really, really kind of reminds me of my content blitz, where each day that I was working, I would get about a week's worth of content done in that day. But I also wanted to mention that like I do recognize that sometimes you need to take a break. So I might make 12 posts in one day, but then I might take a break for the next day or two. And or there might be a few days in a row where I'm doing kind of like multiple sprints. And so you kind of have to understand your energy levels as well and make sure that you don't burn out. And I think a lot of people will hear all this information about the 12-week year. They'll read the book, they'll watch the videos about it, and they'll try to do it, but then they burn out. And you got to make sure you be proactive about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think we've talked about it. I think that's what it really has to do with. A lot of times people like chase content to make and then it burns you
Mm.
out really quick or it doesn't sustain you. And you've just got to find that fine balance of, yes, making content that works and optimized for YouTube, but the main game is consistency with YouTube. Like that's what you just got to think about doing, or, you know, as you're creating content in general. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that a lot. Yeah.
Currently, I have about one newsletter for 2 of my newsletters a week and 1 video on the PolyTools channel every week until the end of March. And I think the main channel has 1 video a week until like sometime in February. And so like I'm already pretty much filled for this first quarter of the year, but obviously there's still 3 more quarters, and I wanted to get that polymathy newsletter to scheduled out. And so that's still something I need to finish. I'm almost done with the polycast season. Should have been done with that a long time ago. And so like there's already a couple sprints that I'm approaching the end of. The only big sprint that I'm really struggling with is the blog post one. And that's probably one of the biggest motivators behind this Blitz in the first place. But I have done a lot. I was making like 3 dozen posts over the first half of January. This last week, I've been very bad. And I don't know if it's because I'm starting to burn out a little bit, or if I just needed a break, or if it's cold, some combination.
Could be a combination. I wonder if, so there's 2 things. Did you see that tweet that was going around? He's since deleted. I think he was getting like just jacked up. It was the CEO of Workweek. So Workweek is kind of like a conglomerate. So if you've ever seen like The Hustle or Morning Brew, I would say they're like that. There are a lot of ex-employees from The Hustle and things like that. And they make this newsletter, they get paid for sponsorship. And they put out a graphic the other day of the SEO and how it's decreasing so much from HubSpot for over the years, especially with AI, and talking about all of these basically AI optimized blog posts that are killing the traffic for HubSpot and how they have to diversify. The original guy that posted it, he took down the graphic, but everyone's still talking about it. It's pretty interesting. I didn't know if he got bullied, or that was a very interesting reason why.
Notifications.
No, the post is gone. It says his image is deleted.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I think SEO is something that, like, ironically, even though that's a major reason, like thought leadership and SEO is like behind why I wanted to do a lot of these posts. If anything, now is the time to do it, because if SEO is still a thing right now, it's not going to be next year, probably after this point. That's a weird claim to make, but I feel like that's going to be a big thing. I wonder what's a way to get AI optimized, and so that way like ChatGPT can find my content easily or something like that. And it is interesting though, because I'm already posting all these new blog posts across social media platforms, so I'm not too worried about discoverability, and I'll try to keep posting them too if there's certain reasons for me to do so. Like if I have a polymathy post that's related to someone's tweet, I could tweet them like, hey, you might like this post or something like that. But discoverability, which is probably the main reason why people care about SEO, is not something I'm not worried about, because it's once someone finds my site, they'll go down the rabbit hole. And that's just what I need to cater to and find those people, I feel like. But I get what you're saying. Like SEO is a major reason why I wanted this Blitz in the first place. But I'm not that worried at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think this might help. Do you want to go through, okay, I don't want to steer off base what you want this episode to be about.
Well, I have a few notes here that I have, but that's not quite what I was planning anyway. So yeah, I'm just going with the flow with you.
I think this might help, and it's helped me quite a bit. So I was doing the 12-week year, and of course, I think at the beginning of this, when we first started this, my goal was it's 100,000 subscribers, 18 months. You keep saying 12, 18 months. And then there's, well, you're insane. And then the other one would be looking at between, I know this is a big jump, between 5 to 10K of revenue coming from YouTube or the brand itself, and diversifying income. And so when I did that, basically it broke it down into 5 main things that I need to do. And the things for this first 4 weeks, which would be 4 months, I want to go through that because this might help if someone's listening to this and seeing like how the correlation works. So the first one is awareness and having actually content to put out. So audience awareness, growing the content. So filming 4 to 5 videos a week, making 3 to 5 shorts a week. Okay, that's the distribution, making sure the channel's good and the subscriber count, whatever. But what I really liked was you're scoring how many pitches you're making and what's going on with the brands. Because the revenue component, like the subscriber count is wonderful. It's great to have the play button. In my goal, what's more important is revenue than subscriber count. I can be patient on subscriber count, but to have better editors, to have better quality of what I want to produce, I need a certain revenue hit and making sure that that's sustainable. So I thought it was really good of it having lead and lag indicators. And lead indicators basically allow you to project how well you're doing in the future. And lag indicators are a reflection of what has been working and what hasn't been working and looking at those indicators. So you're going to be like, you've got to make sure you pitch 5 brands this week. But the lag indicators would be, wait a minute, Doc, you did 5 pitches last week. How effective were you in the follow-up? How effective was the conversation? What's going on with that? And I think that I really like that scorecard because I find that a lot of times it's these metrics that you're just going, and like you have to hit these, but I have not seen an effective scoring or snapshot that allows you to see at the same time, how well are you doing? Do you need to pivot? Do you need to rethink what you want in your actions to make sure you're catching up to what your reality you want to happen in the future? So I just wanted to break that up.
Well, and I had to bite my tongue because I wanted to interject a couple times there. So I wanted to make sure I let you finish that thought because out of respect for you, I know that was an important thing. And I think the lag indicators are really important. And it kind of made me think a lot about the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. And I don't like that rule. As a generalist, I think the 80-20 rule is a little bit too specialist mindset. And it bugs me on a deeper level. And we can get into that another day. But my point is, a lot of the people who talk about the 80-20 rule, they're like 20% of your efforts getting 20% of your results. 20% of your efforts getting 8% of your results. You want to focus on that 20%. But people often forget about that 30 and 40% that like, okay, sure, 20% of it is getting 80% of your results. But I think that last 20% above that too is probably getting another 10% or 5% of your results. And so that's still useful in itself. And you were also talking about how you want to do it 100,000 in 18 months. The 100,000 would bring more revenue more than likely anyways too. So they're not necessarily disparate. They're just one does kind of have a precursor to the other, and what you choose to be the proactive one is a different story. But I kept thinking, okay, if he wants to do this in 18 months, what happens if he does it in a year? Or what happens if he does it in 4 months? How does he do it? And so when I kept telling you 4 months, I know you listened to me at least, like you respect me enough to where you're like, okay, let's hear him out. But my mindset was not because I want you to do it fast. It's more about like, how does your mindset change when you decide, okay, 4 months, how does that happen? And it's the same mindset behind the 12-week year too. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if I want to do something in a year, but instead of a year, do it in a quarter, how do you do that? And that's the whole point of the book. If you want 18 months, that's a quarter and a half, right? And so how do you do that in 18 weeks?
Well, there's a plane coming over. Maybe it's terrible.
I don't hear it all.
Oh, cool. So along with that, I will say this. I was listening to you.
I know.
There was a point actually, I maybe it was subconsciously or along this lines, I was thinking about this. So one of my campaigns, before I would work with certain brands, I'm like, okay, you're going to pay me X amount per month to do certain things. But there's a site called AppSumo. We know this together, but if the audience, it's where you can find software deals. It's my audience, I feel. It's a lot of people that are entrepreneur or have an entrepreneurship mindset. They're trying to build a business online. They're looking to get started, something like that. And so they have an exclusive community called The Sauce, where ones that pay $99 a year, they get access to all these other perks. So I'm doing a twice a month webinar for them. And the deal is, I was like, you're not going to, the payment per webinar, you just can't, your rates you'll never pay. So I want co-branding. I want you to promote my YouTube channel and promote what I do in The Sauce. I can do whatever I want during those sessions. The deal is, I'll do these webinars for free, but I use that as more of signals, ways that I can promote and talk about, either have other brands know that I do this for AppSumo, so I get that I can get that halo effect, but also get a wider reach to people that might not know about my YouTube channel and what I do anyway. So I'm looking at different ways to elevate the signal of what I'm doing so I can be in front of different audiences, increase it that way organically. So yeah, as you were saying that, I'm looking at different avenues monthly or quarterly to branch out so more people can know about the channel and go from there.
Definitely reminds me of kind of the Gary Vee mindset where it's like, hey, document or just do it for free so you can get your name out there. And I love how just you and I are just so focused on growth. Like, yes, you are more so revenue focused, but even you also want to focus on growth too, like you're just saying. And so you're willing to take that price cut in order to get that reach. And that's kind of, I've took it a little too far where like I spent a little too long focusing on growth and not enough on revenue. But it's crazy to me how people get so caught up on the like, hey, if you don't pay me, I'm not going to do it. And they leave that opportunity on the table. And yeah, some of the points I had here to talk to about today is like catch up like Panera. How are we on goals? We did that. The next thing I was wanted to talk to you about before we end up wrapping up to and whatnot is the tools we're looking into.
Yeah. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
I guess I'll go first just because there's not that many that I'm getting into right now. A lot of the stuff I'm getting into is hardware. So I mentioned the smart glasses before. I have a blog post I'll link down below where I listed out every smart glass I could find. And that includes these Bluetooth type glasses, the AI enhanced glasses with a little bit of screens in there, and then the AR XR glasses that have like actual screens. So you're like watching a 100-inch TV in front of you. And so there's a whole range of smart glasses. And I was getting really into them. I think it's a really blossoming market. I'm really excited about it. I actually did a tech review of these, hardware review, I mean, and hopefully with some other tech that I got sitting around here, I might do some more hardware reviews, and that might help generate some more income. Other than that, tools-wise, I'm trying to think if there's anything interesting. The only thing I have notes here is DeepSeek, and I'm kind of curious about that, and I want to play with it. I hear a lot of good things, and so I want to try it.
That's hilarious. That's what I was going to bring up.
We know each other too well.
Funny. And so this is what I was really thinking about. I'm thinking about DeepSeek, and I was like, man, I'm on vacation. I should have been doing videos on it and all this stuff. But, also too, being at this conference, which I really enjoyed.
What was the topic?
So the topic of the conference, it was FMSC. So it is a nonprofit that helps feeding starving children around the world. They have been a nonprofit for like close to 20 years. The conference is in year 18, and they bring all of their biggest partners together, and you learn, you do all of these different things. And there's even a section where you pack, like you actually have everyone in the audience packing rice and everything in these containers for these kids. And so sometimes there would be different, like Haiti for Hope and all different organizations that get this, which was really empowering and enlightening. I also, what is really interesting, that there are so many of these companies have no idea about automation and AI, and they're huge and they're massive. They have $1 million budgets, like millions. And I do want to promote and talk about a lot of these AI advancements. But what I keep seeing over and over again on my channel, people are like, how do I make money with AI? How do I do this? I'm like, bro, you need to go and be helpful and go to these legacy companies and look to improve. They don't even understand automation. If they can't understand automation, AI in their business goes right over their head. There are, and I think I might do this coming up, the no-code trends report from last year, still, no matter how many times I say it, shouting it from the rooftops, automation agencies are making buckets of money. Buckets of money. And so, yes, I have it on my list too. I'm like, DeepSeek, I want to do it. And then I keep getting pulled in this other side of, how do you actually just make money right now in the tier system? I was writing down notes of what I think people need to do if they really want to make money and impact right now. I personally think using DeepSeek and learning how to do all these things with AI is just going to make you so much farther ahead in the future when businesses are adopting or when you're trying to do it. But that's just a side point. So
Well,
DeepSeek,
that's a good
I
point.
yeah, um, DeepSeek, I definitely agree. I am doing a video about all the comparisons of Opus Clip against everything else in the market, just because I'm frustrated with them, not with the competitors. And I try to talk to Connor, send an email. I might have to CC you in it again. But I'm like, I want to do more content around the 3, 4, 4, 5.
Well, and I have like 60 tools on the PolyTools site when it comes to, clipping tools like that. I just, like you said, frustrated with the competitors. I see all these competitors, and I tried giving them some of them a chance last year, but now it's like none of them even just like come close. And it's crazy to me just how much development goes into like Clap. I see the guys who made Clap, and they're coming out with these features, and I'm like, bro, the competitors came out with that like a year ago, and
Yeah,
like Clap is probably one of the bigger names out there. Just it's like David and Goliath. It's just weird to me. And it's not just Opus. There's other tools like that too. We're using Riverside right now. I've mentioned to you my issues with Riverside over the years, and sometimes how their support gaslights you. And it's like there's a
yeah,
lot of issues with Riverside. But all these other tools, they came out like of the woodwork. And while some of them, like Squadcast and Zencaster, were around, they were only audio only. And it took them about like 2 years after Riverside came out to finally come out with video. And that means like Riverside has been developing video for a whole another like 2 product years. And that makes a huge difference when it comes to sustainability and like overall just like not actually losing your recording, stuff like that. I know people have lost their recording on Riverside, but my point is like, even though I've had issues with Riverside, they've still been around the longest. And so they're still the most stable and most reliable, even at their own issues. And it's interesting to me, like the longevity of a product also makes a difference too.
yeah, yeah. Um, I guess I should say it. I'm going to be doing a webinar with AppSumo tomorrow, so I've got 4 tools that I'm working on and using, like rankanalytics, where you're basically helping with SEO. There's well, I can just pull it up. vloud, which is an older tool that's coming back into the store. And what else do I have right here? That's called tools. Let's see. vloud, butternut AI, rankanalytics, and jogger AI. A lot of these, a lot of these AI tools that are pretty much
Say the
just
list again.
wrappers. They are, first one is vloud. So it's creating an online TV channel or live stream for your
Mm.
brand so you can monetize, which, I love that. That's kind of my first
I still need
pop-off
to do that
video.
myself. Yeah.
It's and there's a lot of different avenues. I tell a lot of brands, ones that are trying to do Roku channels or things like that, this could work out very well for you. It allows you to do some things. I will say over the years, what the product is what you get. They're not going to, you know what I'm saying, like scale past that, but you can do ads monetization. I was just having a conversation with my wife about this, but I hear this a lot with brands. If you want to go for either things that are in the public domain, things like that, you could have your own channel if you were just promoting and having just basically a loop of content for hours. I mean, you could really do that, especially if it's like niche content or like I'm doing old radio dramas. You see that a lot on YouTube or old videos in the 30s. You could definitely use this. You can do unlimited channels, storage up to 1,200 minutes, streaming minutes 40,000. And if people are like, I might run out, I'm like, bro, you probably won't even max out if you're a niche channel. It says unlimited video links for external CDN with unlimited bandwidth. So basically, you can be, if you feel like you're going to max out, you can go to another provider. You can do video scheduling, player analytics, restrict the player to specific domains. You can have a custom domain. I mean, I think I still love niche communities that are trying to provide a video on demand. This is it. This is, I talk about it all the time. So I'm doing that one. The next one is butternut AI. I don't like the name at all, but
Yeah.
This one is basically you're creating websites very quickly with AI. You see that a lot right now. Even with like the traditional Squarespace Wix, they're doing a lot text to website and things like that. It's very basic. I think it's meant for like landing pages. But if you wanted to create your own business or do this for local businesses, why not? Right. So you
I
can
think
do.
Wix. I was going to say, I think Wix has been around long enough that like they actually have a pretty decent AI. So you might check it out and do quick video on it, maybe or something like that. Just like an extra video 1 week if you have extra time. But I'm not too impressed with Squarespace.
Yeah, no, it looks okay. They know what they're good at, and they're not trying to really reinvent the wheel. They've been around for years. And then rankanalytics, it basically leverages 200 plus ranking signals to generate loads of SEO. So you can start ranking better. It helps you with deep SEO, those kind of things. It can definitely help as you're going for blogs and just thought leadership. You can use it. I also like it, especially like people are like, well, AI is going to make, search dead. Definitely possible. I think still if it's niche categories, if you're super, super niche on what you're talking about, you can still clean up. You can still
Just
clean
touching
up.
on that real quick, actually, search isn't dead because it's just funny. At the same time that AI is making all these innovations and advances, people aren't remembering that most of Gen Z don't search on Google. They search on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And like TikTok actually has a pretty good search algorithm, or at least it did before the ban. I'm not sure about after the ban. They're actually suppressing bless you. They're suppressing keywords, and so it's like they're like actually especially when it comes to political stuff, it's really bad right now, which I do not like, regardless of where you stand politically. Like I don't like suppression at all like that. And it's interesting to think about people are also forget that YouTube's the second biggest search engine in the world. And so between those three, it's like SEO is not dead. It's just going to change quite a bit, and it's not going to be as important as it once was, which sucks. As a blogger, first and foremost, that sucks for me, but I'm willing to adapt and change with the times. So should you.
Yeah. And I think with the blog, I mean, honestly, there's two things. If you do a YouTube video or strip the audio and make it audiogram or whatever, still you're pointing it back to the blog. You're still having your own space just in case you get shut down on social media. You're not building on sand, but also the deep linking and what the reference, like the traffic, the association of that still works pretty well. So if you're doing all of those things, I think you're covering your bases and you're still building up a good arsenal of all of these things that you're doing. Like you said, it's not going to be overnight. And I always point out, the indicators I care about is if Google's not freaking out where most of their money is pay-per-click and all of these other ways, they're going to find if anyone's incentivized to get it right with AI, it's Google, because they make money off of ad and search. So if they're not freaking out, they're still making boatloads of money. It's not as bad as like the doomsayers say. It's not.
Even though the Dow is down like a lot this past couple days.
that's reactive, and like some people are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe. Listen, if you are that fragile to think that people can't be like learning how to do this quickly, I don't know where you're putting your money. You know what I'm saying? And did you hear about the TikTok IDE too? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, okay. Let's touch on that in a second. The first thing is now is the time to buy Nvidia stock because it's down, right?
It's down, exactly.
Secondly, the idea that oh crap, I lost the train of thought. Dang it! No, hold on. Oh, the book Anti-Fragile. That's if someone should check it out. And the IDE from TikTok, I think it's really cool. Someone says it's probably just a fork of VS Code, but it's a nice, cleaner looking one. For me, the UI, yeah. But like for me, AI is really cool. I want to use it, and so I haven't tried Cursor yet. But you should definitely do a comparison of the two. I'd be very curious to see that because I would watch it because I need to know that, and I want your opinion personally as a fan of your channel. But on top of that, I saw a picture of the UI for the TikTok IDE, and I lost my coding editor because Adam, the one I liked using that was minimalist, was depreciated. And
are you serious?
There's a new. Oh yeah, it was depreciated like a year and a half ago. The guy who made it made a new one called Zen or something like that.
Why did he sell Adam? What
I think you
was
just open sourced it or something like that. You've made a fork or
interesting?
something. I don't know. But I still use it because even though it's not supported anymore, it still technically works. He made a new one called like Zen or something like that, but it was only Mac only when he did it. And so it'd be fine for you. But for me, as a strictly no Apple user, I couldn't use it. But I can't,
You would?
don't start. Don't start. But the TikTok ID, what do you think?
No, I think it's good. I was gonna do a deep dive when I get back. I'm at my computer. In general, it's like Cursor. There are some things that basically two things. Number one, it's free for free,
Mm-hmm.
free right now, and you're using Claude Sonnet. And any other windsurf, Cursor, you're spending money, $20 a month to have access to that. Right there, even if this is only limited, go in there, use Lovable and use this new TikTok IDE, build something, export the code if you're really worried about it. You're like, oh, I won't pay $20 a month. Guess what? You just saved all this money until there's pro features or something like that. So I'm like, get on it. I can only imagine how much, obviously, the Chinese government is paying for this or flipping the bill. It's so much for each query with Claude. They're just paying for it. They're just eating it. But in general, it's very similar to Cursor.
Mm-hmm.
It can do more advanced logic for some of the tests. I will say this, I've seen examples of it. Most people that are just getting involved, like at a low code, no code level, the benchmark test that I've seen it do, it does. Very few people would even need that, if that makes sense. A lot of people are using this as MVPs or using this as V1 to scale. TLDR, it's great and it's free. Go use it.
You said it uses Claude, but I've read somewhere it's using Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT, and I would not be surprised if they move over to DeepSeek like within the
Oh,
next
for
two
sure.
weeks.
Yeah, Lovable already moved over to DeepSeek, at least as an option.
Mm.
For the TikTok ID, you might be able to change the LLM model. That might be an option. But the reason I would say keeping it with Claude has the best logic right now. Okay, DeepSeek is claiming that theirs is just as good, which,
Mhm.
it's cheaper, it makes sense. But ChatGPT and their logic for coding has always lost on the benchmarks in the last like year. So maybe you can change the LLM, but I'm like, why?
Why? Yeah, exactly.
I guess you
I
could.
I've only ever used ChatGPT for coding when it comes to coming up with unique ideas. Like I have these two
Uh-huh.
JavaScript frameworks. How could I use them together? I didn't use to actually code stuff, and I feel like Claude would actually be something I would use to actually code stuff. So, other than that, any last notes before we wrap up?
No, that's pretty much good. I'm looking forward to getting to back home to work on videos and things like that. And I'll give you an update on the 12-week year once we implement it. Oh, and I got Justin Moore's new sponsorship book, so
Nice.
I'll find out how it is next week.
Two things. This is our 12th episode, which means we've done this for a 12-week year.
Good
And then
times.
on top of that, have you thought about just lowering the production quality and making videos where you're at now or whatever it may be if you have something that's very important? Like
That's a good
quick
question.
update stuff.
I might. I might. I need to get my 5-on mic and just
Yeah.
bring it on the road. But I was just thinking about that just when I'm like, man, I
I
need to
mean, your
start
audio's
doing that.
fine, and you can always drop it into Adobe Enhance and just, make it even better using tools.
I like that. I'm definitely going to keep that in mind for sure. I love that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.